Welcome, everybody. So today what I'm going to do is a kit dump. I'm going to take all the supplies and shake them out of my nature journal kit, make sure everything is clean and up to date, ready to go. This is something that I do on a regular basis because otherwise what I tend to do is I kind of go like, oh, I think I could use that, drop it into my nature journal bag. And eventually you kind of get, you know, that there's that box in the closet labeled art supplies with all the stuff that you don't use. And that starts to kind of, my nature journaling kit starts to kind of grow and grow and expand until basically I'm kind of hauling around all this gear that I don't really have to have with me. And so it just makes the nature journal kit so much heavier. So then sometimes I'll go like, oh, I'll just leave it at the door this time. But if it's really lightweight and handy, then I will grab it and go with it every time. And so if you regularly unpack it and think to yourself, like, do I really need this? Do I really need this? Is there anything that I really do need that isn't in here? And constantly change it and update it. That's going to make your kit much more useful. Another thing is, every once in a while, give yourself a new tool. Just because, it's a little shot of equipment dopamine. Yeah, you're like, ooh, like my new little click pen. I like the way this little eraser goes click, 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 click. My daughters, Amelia and Carolyn, they love these erasers because you can do this. And that's just fun. So if you like your tools, you're more likely to bring your kit with you. And then you're going to be doing more nature journaling because, again, if you don't have your kit, you don't have your kit. And so in thinking about this, you want to have it actually in a kit. So you want to have kind of a nature journaling bug out bag where you've got all your essentials that you can just grab and go. If you have to kind of root around your apartment, you've got a pencil over there, and there's an eraser over there, you're going to forget your brush. And also, the more of a hassle it is to get all your gear together and get yourself out the door, then if it's a nuisance, then you'll be like, oh, I don't have time to get that stuff together. I'm just going to go for a walk. But if you have a bag and it's hanging by the door and you can just grab it and go, and you know what's in there and you know how to use it, then you're going to be sketching a lot more. So in setting that up, I highly recommend a shoulder bag. So here is mine. So the thing I like about a bag that fits over my shoulder is that I can put on a backpack with my lunch in it and go carrying that around. Then I can take off the lunch backpack and put that down. And then I go exploring and crawling through the bushes. And I've got with me everything that I need. And if instead I have this inside the backpack, then I need to bring that whole bag with me when I go crawling through the bushes. So I like to kind of compartmentalize, have my kit handy. Also, I can have my backpack on and still reach into my little handy bag here and get at the things that are really high percentage for me that I'm really going to need on a regular basis. So you want to think of how accessible is your stuff, and also think about how the amount of fuss that it's going to take to kind of get you from I would like to sketch and journal right now to, ooh, I'm sketching and journaling right now. So that's why I really like a shoulder bag. Used to just stick stuff in my backpack, but not anymore. Now it just sits on my shoulder. So you can think of, your fast draw technique. Like, let's say you're out there and you see a bird. How fast can you go from, oh, I wish I had my journaling stuff out, to, oh, I've got my journaling stuff out and I'm journaling, and then I can then put it away. And so think of it kind of like nature journal quick draw. How fast can you go, have your stuff out and then and have it back, right? And then you're walking like, ooh, I wish I had my journal stuff. bam, right? And then zap, it goes back. And so if that's no hassle, you'll be journaling all the time. But the more of a nuisance that is to go from, I don't have my journal stuff out to, right? Then the faster that is, the more you'll do it. I used to have a very thin bag, and I had to keep it out of any water or damp surface because water would soak right through it. The bag I currently have is really water resistant. I never use the word waterproof because I don't know. I don't think you could. I wouldn't throw this in a swimming pool. But recently I was out at the tide pools and was sitting down on a bunch of seaweed, and it was all wet underneath me. And this was just laying there on top of it, and all the stuff was inside was dry. Earlier this winter, I was out sitting on a snowbank, and my bag was flopped out beside me, and it wasn't absorbing water. And there's just a lot of dampness around, and I like to kind of keep my powder dry. And so that is something that is a feature of the current bag that I'm using that I like. This is the kind that's for sale on my website. I like to have a bag that's not too big, because if you have a really big bag, you tend to fill it up with stuff. Right? It's just like if you've got a really big backpack, you will fill your backpack to capacity. If you have a small backpack, you're going on the same height, you will fill that backpack to capacity. And both of you out there will have all the things you need. Just one of you has a heavier backpack. So the bag is one thing. And so I do recommend people to kind of get yourself think of like, how can you set up your own quick draw? So then let's think journal. I'm definitely going to, the first time I went to Tanzania, I ran out of paper. And vowed never again would that happen. So this time I'm going with the journal that I'm currently working on, and it is about half full. And then I'm bringing another journal. I'm going to be, like some other folks, I'm going to transition over for a while onto a toned paper journal. So this one's got gray toned paper in it. This is the Strathmore toned gray 400 series book. And so this little thing that says toned gray comes off, and so it's a nice little journal. But I think I want the gray one instead of the brown one, just because it's a little bit more neutral, and I'll be able to I think that's what I'm going to want. Although I may get out there and the landscape is really, really, really brown, and I would be thinking to myself, I wish I just had that brown journal. We'll find out. So for your journal, make sure that the kind of journal you have is a journal that you like holding and feeling and smelling. I like to go into into a art supply store and pick up and handle all the journals and kind of see, like, tuck it into your arm and see how this feels. How does it open? Does it open flat, or do all the pages stick up? Something that is nice about a large book like this is that in the field, I can stand and hold this really, really easily. It's actually easier to stand and hold this journal than it is to stand and hold this journal. And the reason why is the approach that I use, right, is I'll take the journal and I hold it against my body, and then I wrap my arm around the top like that. And so my journal is then a solid writing platform. So when I'm over here working on this page, this page is over to the side. I can be working on this page, and I can stand and do that. So this just tucks into my arm nicely. A journal that's a little bit smaller, I kind of do that. This one feels a little bit more wonky. I can do it, but there's something about that big one that makes this sort of stand and sketch approach a little bit easier. Again, my technique is I'm kind of wrapping my arm over the top, pressing it into me, and then that's making a good stand up and draw sketching platform. Let's take a look at supplies. What I'm going to do is jump over to my document camera, and we're going to just dump all the supplies out onto it. And what you're going to see is I'm currently carrying some things. Wait, Louise, is it all right if I put your share your screen for just a moment? Just wanted to folks to see what's kind of going on here. Check this out. Oh, there we have it. Ray Bonto, this is for you. Oh, yeah. That's great. I love you've got all these characters just hanging out in your house, cruising around with you. That's really fun. Let's take a look at the supplies that I have. Now, some of these supplies are going to, some of the supplies are just general naturalist supplies for investigation. Some of the supplies are for journaling and drawing. I'm going to first look at the journaling drawing ones and then the naturalist supplies. And here we go. There we are. There's all the stuff. Yeah, this is going to be way too much stuff. Too many notes.
Oh, Jack, are you typing something on the keyboard?
Oh, you know, I think what I was doing is I had the end of my bag was banging on my keyboard.
Okay, good. I was worried that somebody was hacking you. Sorry, paranoid. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
What were you saying? Oh, I see. I'm like, oh, period. No, that is the end of my bag. Thank you so much for that. That's good situational awareness.
Thank you.
All right. Let's take a look. Essentials. I'm going to first just get out all the different pens, pencils, drawing tools. I want to talk a little bit about the idea of redundancy. There would be some things where I do want an extra of it, other things where I'm not. If there's something that you absolutely love and want to bring with you, then it's a good idea to make sure you have more than one of them. But the more that you're doubling up on things, the larger your kit becomes. And so I'm going to first just organize this stuff and take a look at what we have. Yeah, it's definitely time to reorganize this kit. Let me start with a few of my favorite things. And these are my kind of these are my kind of raindrops on roses. So I want to start my sketch. What am I reaching for? I'm reaching for my Color-Erase non-photo blue pencil. This is a great way to initially block in drawings. I've got one that will be long enough for my entire trip. If this were down to a little stub, I would probably carry a spare. I also am, I have two pencils here that have purple lead in them and blue lead in them. And I've been sometimes using these the same way that I use these because I've been doing a lot of drawings online. I've been sometimes using these instead of my non-photo blue pencil. Also, these work great on toned paper. This doesn't really show up on toned paper. See, I've got a redundancy in here. Here's another 0.5 millimeter blue pencil. But I probably don't need 2 of those. So this is the first thing that's going to go out. Do I need all of these? I think I could probably get away with, yeah, I do like these. So these are useful enough that I'm going to bring a couple of colored pencils, mechanical colored pencils, a blue one and a purple one, and my favorite non-photo blue pencil. That's often what I use for, again, for starting a sketch. So that goes in my yes pile. And then we're going to resort the yes pile in just a moment. Other things, definitely yes. Definitely yes to the Pentel Aquash large fine point water brush. This is a brand new one, never been used before, but already charged with water. In case I lose this one or give it away. I have a tendency to give people water brushes. And so I'm going to want to do that. Actually, I might want to bring a couple of extras of these in case I am inspired to give away more than one water brush. I find when you travel and people see you use this, they say, oh my goodness, that's so cool. And it's so much fun to kind of be all Mark Simmons and go like, here, have this, right? Shout out to Mark Simmons. So a yes and a yes. Other things, here is a flat water brush and a backup. I don't use these as often. So do I need redundancy in that? Probably not. So I'm going to take one of these. So this is a cool brush, just to show you, like, this brush is really neat. It's a flat chisel shaped water brush. This is the Kuretake flat water brush. And you can use it like a chisel brush. We've demonstrated cool things, effects that you can do with that in some other classes. Also, you can take the tip of it and snap that off. And it's now a big mop head brush for covering large areas. That whole thing is the bristles. And then you can take this little piece and put it back on, and it goes back to being a chisel. The other thing that's really cool about these is I can take that little chisel part and spin it, and watch this. The tip of it changes from a chisel to this multi-headed kind of squirrel tail thing that gives you sort of fine grassy or furry texture effects. So this is a great way of kind of texturizing things. And you can take that off again, flatten everybody out. And back on. Anytime you're putting a cap back on a water brush, be very careful, be very intentional, line it up so that no bristles end up being outside of the cap, because you're going to smash those down and they're plastic. You're not going to be able to, once they're crimped off to the side, you're not going to be able to straighten them back out. So put it in carefully, securely in. I'm just going to need one of these out there. Let's take a look at other fun drawing tools. I like drawing with ballpoint pens. And so let's see what I have in the ballpoint pen department. Looks like there's a lot of redundancy going on in here. Yeah. So I've got 2 of these inexpensive Bic Atlantis pens. They're a good sort of low-cost ballpoint pens. And then I have 2 pens that are, they look different on the outside. They've actually got the same ink refill inside. This one spins. And this little cap comes up. These are medium point. These are pretty good pens. But do I need 2 of these? I think I'm going to only bring 3 ballpoint pens. One of them, this one is almost out, so then this one will take over when this one finally gives up. And then I've also got this one that has recently been refresh. Other things in the pen department. Here are what I call mark pens, after the amazing artist Mark Simmons, who teaches some wonderful nature journaling workshops at Wild Wonder. This is a pen that he showed me. Comes to a very sharp tip. Here's one that's been used a little bit more. You notice it's a little bit more blunt. This one is my Mark pen backup. So when this one gives up, I've got this other Mark pen here. The reason I like Mark pens is because, grab a little piece of scrap paper. There's a piece of scrap paper. With a Mark pen, you can make a thin line, or you press heavier and it makes a thicker line. And so you can get a lot of line variation without so this line is sometimes thick and sometimes thin, just depending on how hard you're pressing. My daughters also love these Mark pens. So I'm going to bring a Mark pen and a backup. And then, let's see, other pens. Let's see here. So I have black, gray, gray. All right, I've got a dark gray pen, I've got a fiber tip pen. I'm gonna get all my pens in my hand. These are the only fiber tip pens that are going on here. It's looking that way, and there's a slip one. Okay, so here's a fountain pen. And some friends of mine were saying, Jack, why don't you draw with fountain pens? You should draw with fountain pens. So I got this, and it makes variable lines, but I've never really, as much as I've been carrying it around, if I've got a choice between some other pen, I'm not reaching for this. So I think it's going to go out. Some people really like drawing with fountain pens. Right now, I'm not feeling it. There is no right kit. There's just what is right for you right now. This is fun. This is a neat pen. Look at this one. It is like a black pen, but it's gray. So it just makes little gray lines. It is, what is it? It's a uni pen, fine line, water and fade proof, 0.5 millimeter. I've been drawing with this little fiber tip pen a little bit. I really like it. It's not black, it's gray. And it's just kind of neat. It's great. So this one is going to stay. This one is going to stay. Another one that is fun is this is a Pilot Razor Point pen. And what's neat about a Pilot Razor Point pen is that you can draw with it, and then you can take your water brush and just kiss the edge of it a little bit. And zoom down. Look what it does. See, it goes, oh, wow, I now have, it's water soluble ink, so you can kind of brush some midtones around with it. So when you're drawing with this, I suggest thinking of your value scale like this. You've got your darkest dark. You have your lightest light, or your mid-tone. Now look at what happens when you hit this with the brush. See how that one there sort of filled in some of those spaces, it got darker? Same thing here, as I kind of come in here, this with water on top of it gets a little bit darker. But then you've got this tone here, which is just when you're taking the water on the paper and brushing it out. So like I did on this little shadow here. That's cool. That's a whole other value that you have. And so that's fun things with this. But, I haven't been doing that in a while. It's been a while since the last time I wanted to do that. Even though that's a cool effect, I think I'm going to decide not to include this one in my travel kit. All right. It's a cool pen, great effect. This is a cool way to sketch. It's fast. I really enjoy doing this. But just recently, I haven't been doing this a lot. So this one is going to get a temporary retirement. Not because it's a bad pen, not because it's a bad technique. It's just that I'm not doing that much. And so again, that reinforces this idea. It's not that there's there's the perfect kit, because that what is in your kit it's really idiosyncratic. What is it that you're just wanting to mess with right now? And if you take something else and later on you want to put it back in, bless your heart, you go ahead and you do that. All right. Let's take a look at a few other things that are in here. Here's a gel pen. I've got 2 gel pens here, a Signo Uniball and a Jelly Roll. These things dry up and die really fast, so it's good to have an extra. And so I'm keeping my Uniball on the side. It's waiting for this one to dry and die. And I'm going to use this one up first and then replace it with Uniball. Because you go through gel pens so fast, having 2 gel pens with me that are reasonably fresh is probably enough. And you are getting retired. All right, let's think about pencils. What do I have here? I have a black pencil here. It's got 2B lead in it. And it's not wanting to really work right now. Help me out here. There's some lead that is jammed up in here. So I'm going to have to clean that one out. Here's another one that is the same size. I have been doing most of my stuff recently with ballpoint pen because pencil is so smeary. I love the fact that you can smear pencils, but because those then also make your notebook a little bit more messy, as those things are, as those pencils smear. That made me transfer over to ballpoint pens, which means for my last 3 or 4 journals, I'm not really drawing in pencil, but I've been carrying these pencils around with me. So I think my pencil drawing kit is going to retire for a little while. I'm going to take it out of my kit. So I'm actually taking my drawing pencils out of my kit. All right, so had that been in there, that would have been, I had a 0.7 millimeter black, a 0.5 millimeter black, a 0.3 millimeter black pencil. So these are just pencils of different thinness and thickness. When I was doing careful scientific illustrations and things, this one, actually I'm going to keep this one in. I'm going to keep this one. Sometimes if no, it's going to go out. If later on I decide I want it back, I can just put it back in. And also part of my pencil drawing kit, this was a smudging tool that you can use to make grays and smudge with a pencil. But since there's no pencils in there, it's going to take a nap. And let's see here. Any other things? All right, this is a fun pen. This is the N75 Tombow Brush Pen. And it is a medium value gray Tombow pen, and I like it. And it's useful for putting just a little bit hint of tone on gray things. And so it's definitely going to come along with me. But where is its little friend? It's 65. There's a slightly darker one. So the N65 is a little bit darker. I think I'm going to bring 2 gray Tombow pens with me. So I've got an N65 and N75. N95 one is also very close to the N75. So either N95 or an N75. I just happen to have a 75 here. I like the N95 one just because it reminds me of the COVID mask, and that's kind of fun. What other tools? This is all watercolory stuff. More watercolory stuff. Oh, a big eraser. If I'm not doing a lot of graphite stuff, do I need a big eraser? Huh. Maybe I'll keep that just because I've got some colored pencils. Yeah, I'll keep it around. So already, I'm finding a bunch of stuff that I'm taking out of my kit just because I haven't been using, and I'm taking pencils out, right? Again, I've got nothing against pencils. I'm not saying like don't use pencils. I'm saying this, I haven't been doing that for a while. So it's going to take a little bit of a break. I do have some colored pencils here. Let's take a look at the colored pencils. Here's the pencil sharpener. It's good to have a pencil sharpener that has a little part in it that catches the shavings so that when you're out there in the field, you're not leaving shavings behind. Probably also I should go through and just sharpen all these pencils because it's a real disincentive to grab a pencil if you pull it out and it's looking like that. I'll probably go like, yeah, I don't want to use that pencil. So I'm going to sharpen that. If you are using colored pencils, and colored pencils is your thing, you might have a few more pencils than this. Because I'm doing most of my stuff in watercolor with just a little bit with colored pencils, then I can get away with a smaller set of colored pencils. And here's what I recommend doing. If you have a small set, you can take one hair tie. Hair ties are stronger than rubber bands. So I usually have these things wrapped in a hair tie. And also that way, if Amelia loses her hair tie and she needs a hair tie and she says, Daddy, do you have a hair tie? I've got this right there. And so if you've got a larger pile of colored pencils, like you're doing most of your stuff with colored pencils, I would break them into two groups, all the warm colors and the cool colors, or maybe three groups, the warm colors, the cool colors, and then the neutrals. You don't want to have a big set of colored pencils because then it's harder just to kind of fan them with your hand and kind of go like, oh, this is the pencil that I want. And also, if your pencils come all pre-broken, like many of mine are looking right now, then you'll tend to, as you look at these, you'll say to yourself, oh, this one here that's the color I want, not this one over here, just because it's going to be a nuisance to sharpen that one. So have your pencil sharpened before you go out there. And color choice. Let's see what I've got in terms of greens here. Apple green got pretty short. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of go, are these greens really different? That's a bright one. Oh, that's a much more useful green. And what is this one here? That one, drop it into the pencil sharpener here. It's a bright color that I won't use. Cool. All right. I have two yellows. I have this yellow and this yellow. I don't use these yellows that much. You can tell because they're still really big. I'm going to just bring one of these. So I'm going to really pare down my colored pencil set because I'm not doing a lot of stuff with colored pencil right now. Again, I'm not saying don't do colored pencil. I'm just saying that doesn't seem to be what I'm really doing a lot of right now. So this one here, this more lemon yellow one, it's going to take a siesta. Reds, magentas, purples, so those are all going to be nice. How red are you? Red, you're red. Another brown, there's an orange. That's nice. Okay, so you definitely want a magenta pencil. Process red in Prismacolor means magenta. So there's a little magenta pencil. In the brown department, Tuscan Red's a great color. That's blue. So here's a few browns. This one gets sharpened just so I can see. Tuscan Red, if you're going to be, is this very brown, slightly more warm red color. You can't really see that. Let's zoom down. Actually, let's go for, bring out the sketchbook. I'm doing this on the back of a sheet. Let's just put this into a sketchbook. I want to show you Tuscan Red because this is, it's a cool color. I like this. It's a sort of, it's red, it's brown, it's red brown. And if you are going to just, be doing a little sketch or something, if you're doing that with a Tuscan Red pencil, it just looks cool. It's a cool color. I like having Tuscan Red. Then I've got three browns. I've got a brown, sort of a darker brown, a yellowy brown, and a reddy brown. That's good. In the blues and purples, a lot in there. It's very blue. Nice little cyan, lighter cyan. Ooh, that's cool. Peacock blue. Peacock blue is here, sort of a muted blue. I like that. So these are our Prismacolor Verithin pencils, and here's indigo blue. Nice. All right, so all those get to stay and play. Although I probably don't need the true blue and the sky blue. No, I'm gonna keep this. What are you? Light cerulean blue. Oh, so now I've got way more blues than I'm gonna need. So I'm just gonna have a going minimalist with these pencils. So the purple stays. The indigo blue, which is this nice dark one, definitely stays. You stay, you peacock blue. Sort of an ultramarine color. What do you call it? Oh, ultramarine, yeah. And then I have light cerulean, I have true blue, and sky blue. These three are going to be a little bit too close together. I think that for today, light cerulean is going to take a vacation. Here's another brown, nice creamy color. You can stay. Oh, what are you? It's a aquamarine pencil. Has to get sharpened. Oh, you look a lot like everything else. I think I'm going to retire it. Finally, in the pencil department, there are two pencils that I absolutely love and I can't do without. They're both made by Prismacolor. Instead of being the Prismacolor Verithin line, these are in the Prismacolor Premier line, and they are black grape and grade lavender. These make very pale. This one makes a pale purple gray, and this one makes the black grape makes a dark purple gray. Really useful pencils for putting shadows into colored objects. So for instance, if I made a little sphere and put a shadow in with grade lavender here, I could then fill the rest of that in with yellow, and the grade lavender shadow would show through that and be a nice, zoom down on that. Bing, bing. It makes a nice little shadow in that for that yellow object. The black grape, if I was making a sphere of a different color that wasn't really light value sphere,
Could you please?
I might kind of block in a little shadow with that. And I can pick any color here. Let's take the magenta. I'll leave a little highlight on this one. You can see that where the magenta goes over that, you now sort of see that shadow shining through. I recommend not putting black pencil into your shadows. But the black grape does fairly well. So it plays nicely with others. So I always want my black grape. As a matter of fact, I'm even like it so much, I have an empty, unused black grape right there. And then in the greens, I already sorted my greens and I'm good to go. I might want to replace this apple green one out with a new apple green. That's a nice, useful color there. And that's gonna disappear fast. So to-do list, apple green. So what I did is I just gave myself a little circle and wrote apple green, and later on I will get that apple green and then I'll check that little box off. Two white pencils that I also use with my with watercolor or other sorts of things. I will often put a little bit of white colored pencil over dried watercolor. And so these two white pencils are also coming along. All right, back up, back. A few things for messing around with watercolor. Here I have some chunks of natural sponge, which I can sometimes use for texturizing things with watercolor. I'm going to bring those along with me. I have a little mister bottle. If I want to add a little bit of water to a page to then do a wash. A friend of mine who does a lot of watercolor showed this to me. I thought it was really, really cool. I added it to my kit and haven't used it since. So because it's a great idea, but I don't use it at all, I think it might go on vacation. However, I am going to be in a place with a very, very hot equatorial sun. I wonder if there'll be times when I'm trying to do a bigger wash. Maybe, no, I just haven't been using it. You are going to take, it's going to retire from my kit. Another thing that people often do with watercolor is they'll put watercolor down and use a scraping tool to emboss the paper to scrape things out. You can use this in two ways. Check this out with this is just a chunk of a credit card that is been snipped off. And let's say I've got some grasses here. I can come along with this and scrape in draw in some grasses on top of those marks, and then where I come across this, it's not really making, wherever I've scratched, I'm leaving kind of little marks behind. So you can use it to make an embossed line and then draw over that. Say you wanted to put a vein in a plant. The other way it's useful is that in the land of watercolor, as paint is drying, get some green paint out here.
Could you? Thank you.
I've got the glob of green paint. With this, it's kind of weird because the timing ends up being really important and how much liquid and how watery it is. But if I do it too soon and I try to scrape the paint out, what it does is it makes a dark line on the surface. Because what I've done is I've gone through a little point and torn up the surface of the paper. But sometimes if I do it at the right moment, it makes a light line. Because this is mostly dry, but still slightly damp. This was watery, so as I pushed stuff out of the way, all the water sloshed back into the groove. But this was a lot more dry. And so when I pushed across it, I'm pushing the paint out of the way. And once it gets drier than that, it no longer works. So there's a little window where you can do this, what's called, where I can scrape this paint off to make a white trunk against a light surface. It's not very heavy, doesn't take much room at all, and so I'm probably going to keep my little fragment of credit card. I like to, if you finish your cards and you snip through them, you just take one kind of fragment that has different kinds of points and angles on it, and see, as this is getting more dry, starting to get a little bit of get scratchable. So I'll bring that. And also I've got my palette here. So what I did is I went through my entire palette, I refilled all my wells, made sure I've got enough of all my paint. And I also have added a new color to my palette recently that I'm going to be testing, and if I really like it, this sort of turquoise color right here. It's a cobalt, it's a light cobalt turquoise. And I'm thinking for in places where I'm seeing kind of some of these, sometimes you kind of look down into tropical waters and there's that color there looking back at you. And you can mix it, but I think you'd be there for quite a while trying to mix that precisely. So I wanted to throw something into my palette that could easily do that. And if I like this, then I'll be adding that to my standard palette. If I don't like it, well, then there's no harm in trying. But every once in a while, try new pigments, add them into your palette, and see what you think. But as I go out there, all my palette wells have been refilled, and I'm not going to get out there and go like, oh no, I don't have any more buff titanium. I wish I did. Let's see. This is a toothbrush that I put in so I could do splatter effects in my journal, and I found I never used it, so it's going to go out. And look at how much lighter my kit already has gotten. That's really good. That's good. And I'm also going to bring a little fragment of a crayon. Where's my fragment of crayon? Here's a fragment of crayon. Actually, this is just a solid wax stick, but a little chunk of a white crayon would also work, so I could do resist sorts of things. You put your crayon on your piece of paper, and then when you go over that with watercolor where you have put the crayon down, the paint doesn't stick. So you can do that for wave effects or cool splash effects. Also helping Amelia and Carolyn go through their kits, because I know that when we get there, if they don't have a pencil, they're going to be scavenging it from my kit. So I'm helping them make sure that they have all the things that they want. I've got my sock for cleaning my brush. And now what I'm going to do is I want to think of what are, of all these tools, what are the most high percentage ones that I reach for again and again and again and again and again. And they are going to be this non-photo blue pencil and this purple one. They're going to be a water brush and a ballpoint pen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these 4 tools that are my almost always go for these pens. Actually, maybe I'll put in that one with the gray, with that gray pen. I liked that guy. Gray pen. Yeah, I'm going to put dark gray in because I just want to use this one a little more. These now 5 tools. I need to keep the number low, just a limited number of tools. Those ones are going to go in my outer zipper pocket of my bag. And they'll be the only things that are in there. And that way, when I'm out in the field, I open up this pocket and I slip my hand in and I say to myself, I want my non-photo blue pencil. And I'm coming out with my non-photo blue pencil. If I've got a bunch of different pencils in there, then I have to play hunt and seek with them. All the rest of these drawing tools are going to go into deeper storage. And so some of them that are my next level of I'm often use them, they're going to go in this outside pouch here. The ones that are that I use much less frequently, those ones are going to go in here. So what am I going to put in here? Definitely this white. I'm going to put in this pen. I'm going to put in the mark pen. Those are things I sort of medium often use. And I think what I'll do then is everybody else is going to go in here, including my things where I've got redundancy. Oh, here's my white crayon. So just a little chunk of white crayon, a little nugget like that, or a little kind of wax crayon. Both do a great job. I'm going to throw the white crayon in. These pencils, it's a small enough bundle that I can get away with having one little tie on it. Need to get that new apple green one. They're going to go into this pouch along with the sharpener. And along with the sponges. There's just a couple other little handy things. This is a value finder. When you look through it, you no longer see colors. You just see shades of dark and light. So I will bring this, if I'm ever trying to analyze values and things, I just hold this up to my eye and can look at the landscape around me in terms of darks and lights. That is a useful way to make seeing values a little bit easier for me. That's going to go in my kit. I also sometimes like to do dissections out there. And so I will often bring a little knife with me. But because I'm going to be traveling internationally, I'm going to bring this knife because it's a heavy duty plastic knife with a serrated edge. I can still cut things reasonably well with it, but it's not going to get confiscated by TSA. So it goes in there. My kit has gotten remarkably lighter. Now, a few other tools that I'm bringing along. Here is a set of gouache paint. Gouache is much like watercolor, but it is it's a little bit more opaque. This one is starting to chip out, so I'm going to re-wet it and kind of get it to turn to goo a little bit more and sit together. So this is a little small set of light value gouache. I'll bring that. I'm going to bring a glue stick. I have to make sure it is still sticky enough. Yeah. That way I can take all sorts of different found objects and glue them into my journal. That's going to be useful. I also have my favorite naturalist tools, the goniometer for measuring angles. I'm going to be bringing a compass. I'm going to bring a compass for measuring degrees of angles and directions. I'm going to be doing some fun sun measurements out there. I'm going to bring a hand lens for getting up close and personal with phenomena. I also am going to bring a little bug box. And last but definitely not least, I'm bringing a pair of close focus binoculars. So these are Pentax Papilio binoculars, and they allow you to get up to 1.5 feet away from anything you're looking at. So from scorpions to honeybees that you want to keep a little bit of distance from, you can really magnify them well. That is my kit for now. So I've gone through my system. I've removed the things that I'm not using. Oh, this is also useful. This is a big rubber band. I'm going to use that just to, when I'm using that large sketchbook, to keep the pages flat if I'm out in a windy area. Having a large rubber band is very, very helpful. So that's going to be useful, and I'll put that in here. Again, no perfect kit, but there is the perfect kit or system for you right now. If you saw something that is in mine that is not in yours, you're probably fine, right? But sometimes you think to yourselves, like, oh, I like that idea, and then you can add. Again, every once in a while, add a new tool into your kit. So if you see something here that I've got, you want, I don't want to play with that. You try it for a little while. If it's your thing, great, adopt it. If it's not, that's totally fine. But there is a big fallacy that we have. That is that the tool makes the page. So that, like, if I think to myself, if I get the same kind of pen that Mark Simmons is using, then my pages will look like Mark Simmons, right? It doesn't work that way. They still look like my pages, but that's fine. Oh yeah, that's right. B&H, I think they do carry Papilio binoculars, and so do I. So you can buy these ones also on my website if you're interested. They are my favorite binoculars. These are the 8.5 power ones. They make a 6.5 power one that I like the little bit better magnification. So this little paint zone that was getting kind of funky, I'm just pushing it down, kind of remushing it. And then that's going to dry with fewer cracks. That finger is going to be done. All right. Let's see here. Well, I hope that you've gotten some good ideas from this, and that this has inspired you to kind of go through your kit and see if there's anything that you want to take out, or other things that you want to drop in. Avoid the fallacy of like oh, that's the tool. I don't think there is the tool, although I really love those non-photo blue pencils and the water brushes. Oh, right, those are crazy. But yeah, check your own system. You may be carrying things that you don't use. And then also part of the problem is, besides your kit being heavier, is that it makes it more time to get your fingers on the high percentage tool that you want. So you're trying to if you're trying to develop your quick draw system, then it's going to be just a little bit more of a hassle. And by that time, when you're out there, the critter pops up, you want to be able to get your sketch on, great. But if it takes a long time to get your stuff out, it may be gone by the time you do. So being able to get it quickly really helps. Those are my 2 cents. And I think I am ready for Kenya. So if you have any thoughts, comments, or ideas, or things that are in your kit, or things that you think I ought to add in here, let's check that out. Let's start with seeing what's up with Mauve. Mauve, we're going to bring you on into conversation right here, and I'm going to add you into the spotlight. Hey there. Wait, hold on. Now you can unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I think you may be listening to me on 2 devices. There we go. Yes, try that again.
Okay, I think I got it now.
Yes, we're good. Good audio.
We're good. Okay. It's not your bag, but I wanted to share a bag that my sister Heather gave me for Christmas, because it's got a couple cool features. So let me see if I can get this. About the same size as your bag, I think.
Yeah.
And you put it on over your shoulder. Then inside is this cool little thing where you can put all the pens and pencils, and I do have the mist thing and the Signo, and
nice.
2 types of pens, the water soluble and the non-water soluble, the 2 types of water brushes. But the cool thing about it, if you don't have long hair, that it's got Velcro, and it Velcro to your strap. So
that's nice. That's really cool.
Get at. And then the other feature that is unusual is the lid that you open has Velcro on it too. Oops, I attached it. Velcro on it too, and it comes with a little plastic thing with Velcro on both sides. So you stick it on the bottom Velcro, the top Velcro, and it has an outside pouch for your journal. You open your journal up, sits right on there.
Oh.
What I use with it is it has a little side pocket that I put my little, again, it's not your palette, but I have one of your palettes, but I use that as a itty bitty little one that my sister also gave me. My sister is Heather, by the way, the 3D gal.
Oh.
And this has the little finger thing. And then I've got my thing, my journal here, got my brush here, my teeth to take it off. and put it in, and then I'm ready to go. And of course, the inside of the bag has lots of room as well, so that I can, do all the same stuff you've got, because I follow you very closely.
Yeah.
And all the.
This looks like a great system. Is there a name on this bag?
It is. I've got the little tag. Can you read that, or should I just try to read it to you?
Let's see. Is there a brand name on it?
It says order online at darcybeckartist.com.
Darcy Beck Artist. And also what I like about that is there's probably an artist out there named Darcy Beck. And by getting this bag, we're supporting the Darcy rather than, whatever incorporated. Yeah, Darcy. Heather's got, I'm going to bring Heather in on this. Heather's got some comments and thoughts about this. Heather, it looks like you have, you've set your sister up with a really cool system here.
Yes, she has.
Yeah, I send them pretty neat art supplies every Christmas. I just collect them throughout the year. That little palette she's using, I actually got when I was in London at Cass Art, and it's really tiny, really lightweight, and it's just a great palette. But I did want to show, this is, if you want to spell it, it's DARSIEBECK. Artist.com, and he's in the Pacific Northwest. He's a fantastic artist, wash artist, and he makes these. So yeah, great. I bought one each for both my sisters.
So I also like the idea here of when we're getting this, we're supporting Darcy Beck out there.
Yeah.
Who's a maker, who's a creative, and that's great. So this is obviously something that Darcy has been perfecting and honing for a while.
Yeah, he has been. His gouache paintings are just amazing. He travels everywhere, and this is the kit he used, and I just became enamored with it. Misa actually, Misa is her nickname for Mai. Misa has been using hers every day. I hate to say that I have two of them, but I'm kind of stuck at the computer right now with this 3D project. But she's doing great.
Darcy, it looks like, has also written a book, The Art of Journaling, Discovering Your Essential Nature here. I think I need to check out Darcy.
If you want to take a screen, I don't know if this is clear enough, but if you want to take a screen grab.
Oh, I know. I'm already on Darcy's website right here. And I think I need to know more about Darcy. This is really cool. Darcy's also teaching workshops around in the Port Townsend area.
And he has a video demonstrating exactly how to use the kit, and so it makes it very, very clear all the neat features and how to use it.
That's fun. That's really fun.
But I also want to point out one other thing that you, at the very beginning when you started these workshops, you said, I guarantee you, if you are doing your pencil miles every day, you are going to get good. And my sister Misa has complained all her life. She's an amazing musician, but she's complained that she can't draw, and she can't because of me. Because I would hold art contests when we were little, and I was the judge. So of course I won. But Misa's been doing this every day, and I just wish one day she would show her first journal entry to the one she's doing now. Amazing. You wouldn't even know it was the same person.
Well, Misa, you don't have to share things if you don't feel comfortable doing that. But what would you say, just sort of subjectively, your experience has been doing with working on developing these skills?
Well, you have just been immensely helpful, because you stress that it's a skill and can be learned, just like I learned to play my musical instrument, with practice. And I am not as organized as my sister, so I don't even know where my beginning things are. So, to compare, I would need to dig through some stuff to find that, but I know I'm feeling more comfortable. I'm still not at the stage where I would journal in front of anybody. I go out by myself.
That's totally fine.
But yeah, I think she's right. I think there is a big difference just from following you on Tuesdays and Thursdays and then trying to do some on my own. It is something that does develop, and it's been great.
What you gave her, Jack, was a redefinition. And once she realized that she wasn't doing art, she just went to town.
Yeah, well,
she was field journaling. That's so
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a nature lover. I would always get out into nature and write down in words my things, but and be jealous of my sister Heather and my other sister Shannon, who's also on here, who are both amazing fine artists. But the idea of just being able to quick sketch things out in the field, that was just an eye opener for me.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that pressure of, when we're in school, the reason which we were doing pictures. Hey, we've got the whole family on here now.
Shannon
It's a reunion.
We have one every year. We haven't been able to have them for the last 2 years, but they're both coming down to Camelot, which is what I call San Diego, in July, and we're going to be doing a lot of field journaling together.
Yep.
That's great. Yeah. If we make the objective of it, now I've got to make art, then all those value judgments about capital A art come down on us as we're observing the bug. And it becomes more about the page than the bug. But if you're thinking of it as field journaling, as nature journaling, as an investigation technique, then it's still all about the bug. And the journal page is a tool to that. And it just gives you permission to make marks on paper. And when you folks are together, have you ever been nature journaling together?
Yeah. Yes. Heather and I have done quite a bit at the San Diego Zoo and at the animal park down there together. And that was before Misa was ready to, dig in. So she didn't join us too much on that. But now this year we have lots of plans for how to spend our time. But we may end up doing most of it at Heather's home because the price of gas just to get to these places just might undo the whole idea,
Yeah. Yep.
But there's plenty in the backyard, and maybe later, I don't know how long you're going to share people's work and so on, but Heather has a number of journaling drawings from her very backyard over some years that are inspiring. So we just might sit in the backyard and do birds and bees and bugs and plants, and that can be completely fulfilling as well.
That's great. Yeah, it's not where you look, it's how you look.
Yes, exactly. And
That's
since all four of us are on here, I'll show you my latest acquisition. I'm back in Hawaii again for another month. And the little fresh baby is just so coming along, and she's darling and everything. You might not remember, but that's why I was here before. Now I'm back for another month, but I'm house sitting, so it's not so easy. I'm going back and forth between the two homes. But my son, while I was gone, came across this and saved it up for me. So I've got some good sketching work to do, just to work with this skull. It's the sheep with the curly horns straight out of The Friendly Beasts.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
I'm pretty darn excited about this.
That's really fun.
Along with the pig skulls, I've got plenty of just skull work to do while I'm here.
Skulls are really fun to draw. Skulls are really fun to draw.
And they're very educational, not only for the anatomy and the bone work and so on, but educational in terms of your tools that you're using. So, charcoal burned out of the fire, or your colored pencils, or your paint, or stippling, all the tricks you showed us on a previous one of our times together. So yeah, it's really a wonderful exercise. Oh, and in oils or watercolor, I mean, in every media, you can have fun with bones and skulls.
Yeah. And I just wanted to point out that Michael Helm mentioned that your scar is remarkable. I mean, I once found one like that, but it's really kind of broken down. It was really ramshackle. That one's.
We see what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, but just the ramifications of being exposed to the elements are.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have a cow skull that's pretty broken down, but it's still drawable. You know, even when they're ragged, they still offer possibilities.
That's right. You know, just any random object that you pick up, you can.
I noticed you keep using the word ram.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You'll get used to it.
Yep.
Okay. I'm starting to feel a bit sheepish here, but it's delightful to have the three of you on. I did not know that the three of you were sisters, and I think it's just so cool that you are doing using the art and nature exploration and investigation and journaling as a tool to bring yourselves together.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, and we're our own best cheering group too.
That's great. So, and for everybody, think about that. They're related, yes, but they're also being intentional about making the time and connecting with each other. And you too can be intentional about who do you bring into your circle? What are the relationships that you want to nurture that pull out your own creativity and the best parts of you? Something that I talked to little Amelia and Carolyn about as they're sort of, picking their friends, is who are the people who pull out in you those aspects that you really want to nurture. And I think it's wonderful that you have figured a way to do that.
Well, you were a large part of that. As Misa said, she always felt left out because Shannon and I would always go off and draw, and we'd give each other art supplies. And I didn't give Misa art supplies because she didn't want to do any art, but we joined you in these workshops, I think, when they first started at the beginning of the pandemic, all three of us. And Misa just took to it like a fish to water as soon as you called it field journaling.
And
Boom.
I can't wait to get to Heather's house. She has an art store in her garage, and she said I could read some of it. So.
That's great. Thank you. It's really fun to have the whole team on the show here.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you so much.
Have a great trip.
I sure will.
Yes.
I absolutely will.
Oh, and that's one other thing, of course, because I'm house sitting back and forth and so on. I have my art kit is up at the other house where I'm staying. And but it was interesting. I didn't catch all of today's show yet. I'll catch it, I guess, on the recording. But a lot of what you listed that I was able to catch are the key pieces that I bring along with me every time I come. Now I have the luxury of, this is kind of a second home in a way, so I can bring extra things or leave things behind for the next time I come. So I have more than this, but when I'm just out, doing the hikes through the fields and so on, then I just have these key items on many, at least from when I was able to come in today, exactly the same as, and I kind of came up with that too, just based on being here,
Yeah.
So that's cool. I can't wait to see the rest of it, see what I'm missing.
Well, I hope I really, when you guys get together again, just have a wonderful time. And it's really inspiring for us to think about, making our own intentional communities. sometimes it's the family that you're born into, and sometimes it's the family that you make.
We are lucky that the three of us in our old age have such a wonderful relationship. I
Hey,
know
speak
it's
for
not always
yourself.
common. I am speaking for myself. I'm the oldest.
You're not going to ram that idea down our throat.
Yeah. And see, I was gonna one other thing that I've learned being here, especially this time, is how difficult it is to get the internet service and to be able to do the Zooms and so on. I was trying to do it at the other location and it's virtually impossible up there. I finally gave up this morning and just came on down here, and at my son's house, he's got, the internet or the Wi-Fi and so on, so I could do it, but it was very difficult. So I totally understand if you're not able to find a way to reconnect with us during your trip to Kenya. It's very difficult, can be.
Yeah. Well, we will see. But it's also just, isn't it strange that we now have the capacity from all these different places, and here we are.
Yeah.
And here we are. We really saw that with International Nature Journaling Week.
Yeah. I'll just throw in, Heather's in San Diego, Misa's in Virginia, I'm in Hawaii, and you are in Marin County. Is that right?
California. I'm in San Mateo County, south of it.
San Mateo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you folks so much. Really good to see you.
Thank you. Bye.
So let's also join Kate and see what's happening in her journal. I see, oops, I've just lost Kate, lost my Kate. There's a Kate. There's a Kate, and Kate, you are unmuted. Hi there.
Awesome. Well, I love chatting about supplies. I always have stuff that I'm testing. One thing I want to recommend is you can find a local art store. A lot of times people they'll employ are artists. And my favorite thing to do is when I'm going to go pick up my regular supplies, I always chat them up and go, this is what I do. Do you have any like fun little tools that are, under $5 so you can toss into your purchase? Or sometimes you buying paint and go, are there any colors that you regularly use and why? And there's been 2 Daniel Smith colors that I've bought that aren't on your palette. A couple days ago, I picked up Potter's Pink, and I am loving that for like sunrise and sunsets because it's beautiful granulated dull pink. And I've also heard it's really good for flesh tones for if I ever get around to portraiture. So yeah, loving this.
Potter's Pink. Is that actually made from, sometimes, if it's granulating well, it makes me think it's sort of one of their mineral pigments. I'm wondering if, are they actually grinding up flower pots?
I don't know. That'd be a good one to look into. The other one is Cascade Green, and I was told to do that for like drawing trees and stuff, but Cascade Green has become my go-to for painting water, like shallow water, where you want green, because what it'll do is it's like that chromium green oxide mixed with the phthalo blue. So as you move the pigment around, you'll get blue tints with like green that'll sort of naturally glow through each other. And it's such a versatile color. I use it for so many things. I also love that for bird iridescence.
Nice. That's really cool. I think I have a little tube of Cascade Green in my palette sitting there all filled with paint and really unloved, but this is inspiring me to go squeeze a little glob of that into the corner of my palette before I leave.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. So for my palette, what I do for extra paint is like I put my Cascade Green up in the corner there because it gets used almost every time I paint. It's just like a
wow. So this is now a major go-to for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all over my sketchbook. I bought that right before I went on my road trip, and that was, it was a game changer. The main thing, or what I started using it for, was when I was drawing the coastlines of Southern California, and I'd add that in, like, wow, it's so like vivid and beautiful. The other thing I do is, especially for like deserts and stuff, sometimes I like to put was it quinacridone? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
yeah, quinacridone gold. And I put that up in the corner just so I could have like a quick little thing to mix it up really fast and do a light, like mix a bunch of it. Because one of the things I like to do for like the desert scenes or when you've got like the glow of like morning or evening, I'll just paint the whole thing that color to tone it, and then I'll paint over it. So I like to have that one in there, and I just stuck the Potter's Pink. I'm gonna figure out like where to put that permanently because I think that's gonna be one that I use a lot. But yeah.
That's fun. I just looked up Cascade Green in the online, and I see what you mean about it doing in the little sample swatch that they had there. It's settling out into some really fun patterns.
Yeah, it all depends on how much water you use in there. Because if you really wash it out, it gives you that blue. And so for like quickly adding in shorelines and stuff, it's awesome. It's so awesome. I love it.
This is good. This is good.
So
I think I need to give myself a little squeeze of that.
I think so. Yeah. If we were in person, I'd give you a little dollop on your palette to try, but alas, that's one of the shortcomings of Zoom. So I use your palette. I have like a drawer full of paint tubes. I'm constantly refilling different stuff. I love it. It's been really good to me. As far as other tools that I like to bring in my field kit, I do like using a lot of pencil, and I have 3 that I use. So I have a 2H.5 graphic gear, like metal mechanical pencil. They're really sturdy, they're really reliable, and I just got these ones like, you know what, they get so much use, I'd rather get one that can just last for a long time. And then I use a HB.3 lead, also the graphic gear. Nice thing is they color code them by size. And then one of the things that I use all the time, I managed to find non-photo blue pencil lead on Amazon in 0.7, and it's really soft, so it like does leave a bit of a mark. However, I have non-photo blue mechanical pencil, and for field work, especially on paper that's like made to do some more watercolory stuff and can be a little bit softer, I've noticed that the one that is in Jack's kit sometimes, or if I'm working in like darker conditions, sometimes I can't quite see it. And so this one puts down a little bit of a line. The other thing is it's very water soluble. So once I start painting on it, it's gone. Sometimes you get a little bit of blue tint, but you know, who cares? It's been great. It's not perfect, but it really is great. I will see if I can find a link for that and put that in once I'm done chatting with you guys. But I love these. I love the different colors, so I can quickly grab and see what I'm using. And the fact that I can just like fill them up with lead and not have to refill them for a long time, worry about bringing a pencil sharpener is great. I love that. Other things that are in my kit, I also use that little gray felt pen, the uni pen. I think that's what you're using. It's like a dark sort of, it's like a shadow violet with a little pen. It's great for doing little detail work when you don't want to have just that strong black line, but you want to have like some little defining thing. Photo blue lead, it's on Amazon. I will link it in a minute. What else do I use? So I did find a zebra brush pen. It's just a slightly different variation of that. I like that one a lot, especially for field sketching. I don't use so much in like studio type work, but for like blocking things in, it's really great because it challenges me to just like block in values, and you can do like the little details, but then also you lay it on its side and it's like, okay, here's a big dark value spot here. Of course, the Uniball, I don't think, my field wouldn't work without this because it's just, it's great for white markings, for anything. It's so good.
I prefer that one to the Jelly Roll. That Uniball is my favorite of all the gel pens. Yeah,
I do have the Jelly Roll one too, but it's so kind of opaque and it's just not as reliable.
Yeah. I want to read a fun comment from you that came in from Mary Larson. She says, I have a plethora of greens, but I think I need that Cascade Green because swoon.
You do. It's a swoon worthy color. And the other thing, one of the things I've picked up that I've started using a bit more, I just found a light gray pen that's got a big, like just a cheap $1 or $2,
Yeah.
and it's a light gray, and it's really nice for blocking things in because I can paint over or draw over it, and it just helps you put in those values.
Nice.
It's kind of fun. What else? I do have the water brushes. I don't love the water brushes. I will always go for regular when I can, but I have made my peace with them. And one of the things that I do, like if I do my just going out day kit for not like a big hike or anything where I know I'm gonna have time to sit and paint or want to bring stuff, I'll bring like this little mixed media one that was in my lap in the car for a lot of the road trip and just out in the field. So it can take a lot of abuse. It's got the nice hard covers, so you can't really like bend it. That's been great. And so for like the day kit, I just use my normal purse because that way, if my nature journal lives in there, I found this perfect little one at a thrift store where it's like canvas. It's big enough to fit a small journal. It'll fit my painting palette, a few pens and pencils and that stuff, and just be ready to go. So that's like my go bag. And that means like, for some reason, whenever I go run errands, my sister will call me and go, "Oh, there's wood ducks at the duck pond." Why does this always happen while I'm not running errands? So I drive down there, I run out. Now I've got my sketchbook, I started doing bags. I'll show you my bags. So I prefer a larger sketchbook. So that usually means bring a backpack, but that works well because we hike with the cat, and when the cat gets tired, she can go in the backpack. So sketchbook, bring your water, bring whatever else. If I'm going into the backcountry, I tend to take as much weight as I can out of here because I'm usually on horseback. So I'll put my pencils and brushes and my big sketchbook, because I usually have the size I like to work at is like this big-ish. And that way, if I paint something, I've got a little more room to like use my whole arm. And then if I want to transfer it to be a full painted thing. So that goes in there. I strap it down so it like fits nicely against me. And then if I'm on horseback, I've got these that attach to the front of my saddle. It's got 2 water bottle things. I have my first aid in there. And I've got this handy little pouch that I'll put in like a little notebook in there, usually for just note taking, because I can write on horseback. I cannot draw. I can draw a little bit, but it's not like. I can
So
draw.
I like that on one side you've got your first aid, on the other side of your water, and then you've got something in the middle to journal with. So you've got the essentials.
And I have my snacks and
snacks.
Yeah, usually people put saddlebags in the back, but I was looking at like US cavalry stuff when we used to do that. And most military people would have all their saddlebags for things like guns, snacks, things that you want to like have while you're riding in the front. So I just went and moved everything, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is great. I can reach everything I want. So that's fun. But yeah, I think just having a set. I also put my binoculars in there because binoculars are a go. My little camera. A lot of stuff will fit in there. A lot of trust in my horse. Yeah. But I mean, if you're riding all the time, you kind of know what you can get away with.
And you also can ride bareback. And so I think you're probably
if I'm
more sturdy in the saddle than most of us.
Yeah, it's a good way to practice. But like one of the things that I'll do is like at the end of this month, I'm doing a thing where I'm going with the state parks people and like some of the planning people, and I'm packing or I'm in charge of bringing in like a string of pack animals, and then they're going to go work on the thing, and I get to sit there with the horses. So I'm just going to cover myself in bug repellent, and I'm going to sit there and journal for a couple hours while they go and map out and work on like the new trail entrance for this area. So great opportunity to nature journal. And
you've got to have a you be the wrangler with the sketchbook. That's really cool.
Oh, totally. I mean, I was just reading some stuff with Audubon talking about, what kind of horse he looked for going out and doing stuff. And we kind of did the exact same thing. He's like, I want something that'll go everywhere. And we'll go into the woods and won't spook at birds. I've nearly been on horse by a pileated woodpecker once. That was funny. Well, they're so big, and we were coming around this windy trail in the Chucknut area in Bellingham. It's this mountainous area, and a pileated woodpecker comes and like sees us and turns his head and like flaps wings out, squawks at us. And I was riding a very flighty Arabian horse, and yeah, it was funny. Yeah,
That's cool. That is, and you also then have the distinction of having almost been killed by a pileated woodpecker.
Well, I don't think I would have been killed. I would have been dumped into the dirt and done the walk of shame. Yeah.
Dismounted by a pileated woodpecker.
Exactly. When I had my own horse, he was great because when I'd fall off, which he was a young, very eccentric horse, and this is the one I was riding then, he was eccentric, and every once in a while we would either fall, I would fall, we would both fall. That would be very scary, but he'd always come back for me. And some of the older, wiser horses, they're like, no, you're on your own, kid, bye.
You're on your own. I'm gonna head back to the barn now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I think if you kind of get into a routine of like, this is my kit that I'm bringing, and you have it like in a go bag, or at least have tools that like you identify from your like studio indoor set, and it's like, oh, I'm going out, I'm just going to toss this all in my purse and go, and I don't leave the house without some sort of art stuff. Yeah,
that's really cool. I like the just wherever you are, whatever you're going to be doing, have a system. Do you have, is there like a little kit that rides in your car? What is your system?
Yeah,
you're trying to think of like, how can you have your materials where you are? Because if they're not there, you're not going to do it. Yeah.
I talked about in my last YouTube video about doing pencil miles in the airport and kind of flip through the start of my journal. And I think that's such an important thing. Like even when I was traveling, I made sure that my art stuff was like at the top of my bag so I could always pull it out. Because I mean, if you're sitting there, it's like, well, I could be on Instagram scrolling, or I could be on Instagram scrolling to find pictures of birds to draw, And I mean, that's what I use Instagram for. I try and like everyone else's art photos and leave a friendly comment when I can, but I'm there for reference photos of birds. That's what I really like.
That's cool.
Yeah. So if you want to see what's going on my sketchbook, I've been doing a lot of work with adding to my like drawing series as I paint my way. It's my version of Birds and Other Things of America. I saw Audubon stuff, so my paintings are based off of Audubon and Lawrence's work. Actually, it's funny. There's 3 guys named John that have greatly influenced my art. John Lawrence, John James Audubon, and John Muir Laws. So yeah, good job, guys.
Ooh,
so this is just like a little sketch draft, and then
I love that indigo glowing up from the bottom there. Is that in Death Row?
So that was a really fun one. So I didn't want to. I'll show you the finished paintings of these because I've been doing a lot in the last few days. And then one of the things I'll do is I'll do like a study page where I'll teach myself how to draw something, kind of get familiar with it. Those things will go from like kind of a wonky looking little guy, some little thumbnail sketches. And as I go along,
I see some Bill Berry lines happening in there. I mean, not Bill Berry lines, but John Busby lines, sort of line variation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that workshop was super helpful. So once I figured out, I did a little draft, and then I will pull up that painting in a minute. I've got another one that I'm drafting right now where I also did a mermaid from this horrible science horror movie book that my sister had me read about a bunch of marine biologists studying killer mermaids, and they're more concerned about publishing their research first and getting specimens than about the fact that they're getting eaten. So it's kind of how you would expect marine biologists to behave. Anyway, so what I'll do is I'll do studies, and then I'll block in like how I want to arrange things. And I've been looking at like Audubon, especially like how to sort of do a little story almost where the birds are doing something. You can see like, where's this bird live? And then like how the birds interact with each other. And that's my favorite thing about the Audubon paintings. So like, I want to do that. It's like, not just a painting of a bird. It's like, what is the bird doing? There's like some sort of life to it. So I'm working on one now where I'm trying a new technique where I mapped out the size that I'm going to paint it. And I put in a non-photo blue block, and then I did a little research page. So I have draft and research, and the research page just has like all these little details that I'm putting in before I start to put in more solid lines. I'm going to build this up, do a little draft painting over to like test the composition. And then I'm going to take my transfer paper, pull it off, and put it onto a piece of nice paper and do the painting. But shoot, where did I put this? Here we go. So I've been working on that travel series. For those of you who haven't seen, I will whip through these really fast. I went on a trip from San Diego to South Carolina. I'm drawing all the birds and animals I saw in between. Starting off with the Brandt's cormorants, which I think anyone who's been following me has seen plenty of. The pied-billed grebes.
There's that really fun composition.
Oh yeah, the nutmeg mannequins, which are not native, but I was impressed with them, so they made it in.
That would also be, by studying those things, would be a great way to study the patterns of how do the feathers on the breast and flanks really overlap. And
yeah, I don't think I quite got it, but I mean, the whole thing with this is to really push myself to like dive in and do those details and create like sort of finished works as I go, and kind of gives us like momentum for that project to really push and develop those skills. And it's not perfect, but I think one of the fun things about this series is that we'll be able to see like the improvement as I go through and kind of learn how to use those tools. Let's see. Dolphins look kind of fake, but I think that's just how they look. So hopefully I'll get better at drawing those.
fun.
I was trying to do some
fun.
stuff with looking at the foreshortening on water and looking at how, you know, up close you got those like not hexagon. Yeah.
This is really cool. I like that. What's going on in that foreground pelican far wing is really interesting. How the wing is curled.
Yeah.
And you just see the tips of those primaries then sticking up above it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that was kind of fun because, like, I mean, you always say, looking at wings from the side, they're not going to be symmetrical. And I just really have to take that to heart. So I always find like a little reference and then, sketch
Great.
that out a bit. I also have the Garibaldi fish, which you saw me working on last time. I don't know if they're finished, but
You've also added a lot more into the seagrass in the back.
Yeah, I did. So basically one of the things I did with that was I tried not to paint like individual strands. I went and I did 2 layers, one progressively like more intense than the other as I moved forward into the foreground. And then on the foreground one, I just added a few dark areas just to show like shadows where like there'd be a gap where you'd be looking into it. And I hope that that gave it a little bit of detail without making it overly complex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good way to-
Let's see. And then the Matilaha poppy, I don't think is anatomically correct, but I was struggling to find a reference picture that let me see like the actual petal structure. So I'm going to go back and try and work on those. Got the hooded oriole.
That's really fun. I mean, what gorgeous bird.
I know. I really love seeing it. And I was just walking through the neighborhood and I saw that in someone's shrubbery.
That's really neat. The also like all those varieties of greens going on there.
Yeah, that's another one where I didn't want to just draw all the like individual leaves and get lost in it. Because I think one of the jobs that you have as an illustrator is to try and simplify things. So I tried to pick colors to bring stuff into the foreground and show different parts of the plant without making it overly complicated. Because I think if I overly complicated that drawing, it would have just been like this busy sea. And I think I maybe hit that sweet spot where you can tell there's leaves and foliage and texture, and you can find like examples, see what those leaves look like, but not get lost in a sea of detailed leaves. What else? Here's that seal one. So seals.
Oh, I was looking forward to that. Oh, it's a big school of fish. They're all
yeah. So I wanted to do
fun.
2 or 3 different tones and really let like the light do the work. And like I figured if I tried to do a bunch of individual fish, it would not work. But yeah.
Yep. That's really fun to show that almost the murmuration of fish. And I also like how the ones on the outside edge of it, they're dark against light. And then as you kind of get into the mass of fish, they're
well, I was trying to think about where the light's coming from. So they're like coming from the viewer. That's another thing that like Audubon does, where it's like coming from the viewer and up. So imagine like this plane of water or plane of light coming down through like a you know how you get light that refracts through like the different like surfaces on the water. So it's coming down, it hits these fish. And so you have this area where the fish are really bright because they've got a bunch of light. And then as you go deeper, like you're getting less light. And so maybe you'll just have like these dark shadows, a little like glint. But yeah, I want to keep working on drawing schools of fish because it's really interesting and they're so beautiful. Luckily, next year I'll be in a place where I can frequently visit the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and I'm hoping I can.
Oh, they've got some great schools there. That's
Yeah,
fun.
I'm hoping I can figure out their schedule of like when it's relatively quiet there, so I can just go and sit and draw without being stampeded by a, you know, crowd of people in there. But yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I've got one more. So that's the whole San Diego series. That's all species that I saw, except for the sardines. I didn't see them directly, but I could tell that they were there because there were things feeding. So now I'm into my Tucson, Arizona one.
Oh, I was hoping to get to see. Oh, this is fun.
So I just finished this during class. Yeah.
Such cool looking birds. And that little crest is so expressive. And they also
It is. And I was trying not to just like, well, I was trying to figure out how to make a little bit of iridescence in there because they're actually like sort of that blue, green, black color.
Yeah.
And then also be able to punch in that dark. So there's so much technical stuff in there that is something that normally I feel like I'd either oversimplify or just avoid doing. And for this series, I'm like, nope, if it's hard, you're still going to do it. Just if it doesn't turn out how you want, then mark it down as a learning experience. And
good way to hold it. A really good way to hold it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's fun.
And here's that Potter's pink at work.
Oh.
Because I use that with a quinacridone gold to create this wash that comes down. And so this is sort of like a sunrise, sunset type thing with those blue mountains in the background. And yeah.
That's cool. That color is gorgeous. And also just that little hint of iridescence on the head there.
Mm-hmm.
Really well handled.
Yeah. So
that's fun.
Yeah, that was the deep sea green that's on your palette that I used to wash both here and here. And I think it was a mix of wet on wet with the Indithrone gold, not gold, blue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So that's all I've got. But yeah, just painting my way across southern US. So
well, keep these paintings going. The
will.
pencil miles are just so inspiring, Kate.
Yeah, it's been really great, even just within that series to see improvement. I think that's something that we should all think about with our art, is that even if we don't think it's good, or I just got a comment on my Instagram on that painting I showed you, and it's from an artist that follows me. And let me just open that up so I can read it really quick. They said, "Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. I'm admiring how much progress you've made since I first seen your work on here." And they followed me for a long time. And I just, if you scroll down to the bottom of my Instagram, like that's when I started in November, like right after I started regularly coming to these classes. And I really kind of challenged myself to put in the pencil miles and see where it would get me and try and make this into some sort of career. And it really does work. So it'll be interesting kind of to see like coming up on like the first year of doing this to kind of look at where I started and how far it's brought me, and then try and stay in that steep learning curve area and just.
Well, you're being really intentional about how you're kind of nurturing yourself through that.
Yeah, and it's been so helpful to have this community that's been so supportive, and I mean, just having the opportunity to come and see you guys and share my sketchbook every week has given me so much motivation to like learn and improve and put stuff on paper. So
that's fantastic, Kate. And the work that you're doing then inspires us.
Yeah. So I try to be fearless with your art. And another thing I remember, I think it was Sarah, I don't know if she's in here right now, but was talking about it being difficult when you're new or when you are working with artists who have a lot more like experience and stylization and can create the really pretty picture, to put your art up there for people to see.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much value in that. So
And also at a certain point, there's I think somebody during International Nature Journaling Week made the point that sometimes when we are putting our stuff out there, that really we start doing it for the comments or the likes, and that can kind of pull us in the wrong direction. So you want to think about how, for you as an individual, how does that feel to does sharing motivate you and drive you to grow, or is that shutting you down, and or changing your experience when you're in the presence of the wonder of nature? If you're then sort of sketching it for like the likes, then try to reframe that for yourself so that again it pulls you into presence with the organism.
yeah. Well, actually, what's kind of fun that I've noticed is when I'm out in public nature journaling, especially in areas where, like when I was on my trip and we were doing something that was, I forget what it was. We were just in an urban area. My friend was like, I forget what she's doing. Anyway, she's doing something. I was sitting there. I had my nature journal at my lap drawing grackles, and like people just like to come up and like, what are you doing? What are you looking at? And things that people don't even notice once it's in your sketchbook and you're showing like, I care about this thing enough that I wanted to like capture it. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. And that's one of my favorite ways to interact with people and engage with nature. Like I had in South Carolina at Mepkin Abbey, I had a photographer come up and just like, what are you doing? I mean, I was sitting next to an alligator, so that might have been part of it. But people are really interested in seeing people like out drawing. And even if your art isn't like amazing, I mean, that was my ugly field sketches. I mean, they're not ugly, but like they're unfinished, they're kind of rough and crude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's so amazing.
It's the you sitting there beside the trail doing a little landscape. People will walk down the trail and you're just like a sign that says scenic viewpoint.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then people will stop, they'll look up and look like, oh wow, they'll pull out their cameras, they'll take a picture of it, and they'll head on down the trail. But you're helping show through your attention why something is special. And that's why I prefer drawings to photographs. And so let's pull into this conversation another person who's been putting in a bunch of pencil miles, our friend Ray Bonto.
Oh yeah, Ray Bonto, you are such an inspiration for my field sketching style.
Thank you.
You Ray Bonto have put in so many pencil miles, and you also, you're constantly pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone with like, I'm going to try this style now. I'm going to push my darks and my dark values, and you can be tight and focused. You can be expressive, and you also came up with a really good idea of having a journal for your nature explorations, and one just to kind of play in and learn how the paints work and practice the techniques. But you've been really putting in a lot of time on all of those fronts.
Thanks. You two are extremely inspiring too. And yeah.
What is happening in your journals these days?
Yes, quite a bit today. I mean, not really, but
All right, I'm going to reduce my screen here. Hold on, I'm going to make it small. Remove my spotlight. Oh, whoa, check this out. Check out this. You've been playing with
flying pigeon.
And
yeah. Hey, Rubonta, is there any way that you can make the light face you? Because that tends to like illuminate your page a little bit better, help people see. So if you're able to rotate your
I think it's a window. Maybe swing the computer around so that the window's in front of you.
Yeah, so if you can have the light hitting your page.
Oh, but maybe there's wires and stuff that makes it.
If not, it doesn't matter too much. If it's
there.
Possible, there we
So
go.
Now we might be able to see.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Wow.
The flying pigeon is pretty easy.
It's amazing. I mean, you really captured those angles with the tail feathers. It just looks so succinct. And one of the things that I really love here is that like you have dedicated so much to creating that outline and really seeing the outline of the bird and the motion. And it's so cool.
There's just sort of the gestalt of pigeon
Yeah.
in there. Or what the British call the jizz of the pigeons, is sort of this, that you kind of have the essence of pigeon from countless observations, and then drawing it and drawing it and drawing it.
Plus, it's amazing how much like love you put into your pigeon observation. Like every time I see pigeons now, like I'm like, oh wow, you know, Ray Bonto would probably notice this one that's got like the odd coloration or something. It's made me really pay attention to my local pigeons a lot more.
Aw. So, well, this just comes with observation. I've been doing this for about a year, and I've learned that pigeons only spread their tails out when they fly and when they're displaying. Yeah.
Yeah, let's make that a little bit bigger so we can.
Is that little squirrel in the top corner there? It's like the suggestion of squirrel, but it's so
essence of
easy
squirrel.
to tell just from the silhouette there. I think also like that tail, do you have like a little curved line where it connects to the body? Because it seems to have a lot of volume.
Yeah.
Tell us the question that you were asking. We can't quite see the text on the page.
Pigeons usually don't fly like this. It's probably, I don't know what bird you would call this flight pattern, but it was flying in some strange way. But I noticed there were some feathers sticking out, and I wondered if that had anything to do with it.
Oh, so there was a little feather that was
Can you see it?
sticking out right in there. Oh, wow. And was this in kind of a slower flight?
No, like fairly fast.
Interesting. So yeah, right in there, pigeons have, and actually all birds have, what's called the alula, which is a small set of feathers attached to the bird's thumb. So they have a special pad of feathers on the thumb, and they can independently deploy this if they are maneuvering in such a way that they're getting a lot of drag on their wings or turbulence on the backside of their wing. When they pop up that little alula, it reduces the amount of turbulence on the backside of the wing, and they can do better kind of high performance flight. It's like the flaps that come up on the leading edge of an airplane that you'll see when the airplane is taking off and landing, flying at a slower speed. These little flaps will pop up on the leading edge of an airplane wing. And it does much the same thing as the alula.
Maybe it's the other way around. The flight causes those feathers to stick out. But
I love these gestures.
Like I decided to do some drawings like this is the body and that's the wing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that reminds me of John Busby's, like those fast birds in the background. Just kind of you're getting some of the essentials, just a few quick marks, and you're catching the axis of the body, and there are then those angles above. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Ray Bonto, great journaling there. Oh, let's check this out.
Like
Your
there's
screen
a
is
patch where the daffodils grow.
Wait, hold on a moment. Your screen has frozen.
Due to climate change, there
we go.
Yeah, they bloomed and died a little early. But now it's dominated by wild oats.
Oh, interesting. I really like this sense of this dense mass of vegetation, having some of those darker values towards the bottom also adds into that sense of depth. And this is a new approach to sketching. What are you using to apply your paint here? Or it's new?
A normal water brush, but the water brush was, I forgot to fill it, so it was a little dry, and that makes this effect.
All right.
And that's also why this tree was incomplete. But
yeah, I need to. Before I hit the airport, I should refill my water brushes.
yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's for my kit.
Hi, Arpan.
Oh.
Good to see you.
Yeah. I don't usually take these into the field, but I have the Sakura jelly roll.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently using this. But I usually use the signal.
Yeah.
So, but I found that this is a little better than this. So,
You know, I found the same thing, Ray Bonto. That Signo. So it's what we're talking about here, folks, is the white gel pens, and the Signo is our favorite one. It's I currently have. Before I realized that, I bought some jelly rolls. So you often see me in my demos pulling out a jelly roll.
yeah.
But when these wear out, I'm replacing them one by one with the Signos.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I also use this mechanical pencil, Pentel. It's your 0.3 lid. It's the same brand.
Mm-hmm.
I like to use 0.5. And I like to use 4B lid.
Ooh, nice and dark.
Yeah.
That's like ink coming out there, and it's just so when you're writing with a pen that is that soft, or pencil that's that soft, it's also just a smoother feel on the paper, as that graphite is. Graphite's actually often used as a lubricant, and so you've got this layer of graphite. It's just there's a nice smooth feeling as that comes off your paper.
Yeah. I have your Pentel water brush. I used to use these cheap ones, but you sent me one. That was really that was really nice. And I've been using this ever since. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Is the tip holding up for you? Okay.
Yes. But the one you gave me first, I went a little crazy with it, and it became all bristly. And but then he got me some new ones for himself. But yeah, and then you sent me another one. Thank you. And then my palettes. I'm currently using your palette.
Mm-hmm.
But to start with, I used this Winsor & Newton one.
Mm-hmm.
Giant. It's a little hard to open.
Yep.
It used to come in a rainbow format, but after I took them out and customized it myself.
Yeah. That's a good idea. So folks, take a look at Ray Bonto's palette and how it's reorganized. Maybe explain that to us, because this is, I think, a very smart way to organize your palette. How did you reorganize the paint?
I had your book, and it had a picture of your palette, so I just copied it, sort of.
Yep. So this one is different than the one that I have. But so notice that generally above, there's that green section on the right side of the screen. And then there are green paints below that. Then all of Ray Bonto's blue paints. And there's blue paint below that. and then reds and magentas, and the warms over on the left. So that allows you to have sort of separate mixing areas for those different groups of paint. It helps you kind of keep, otherwise all of those areas become really kind of dark and gunky and mucky, but you're seeing that there's a real kind of distinct yellow mixing area that's distinct from the blue mixing area. If you mixed a lot of your paints in both of those sections, then you'd get all these sections that were just kind of green because they've got the cyans and the yellows in them.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job reorganizing that.
And then my dad got me this one, Cotman, because
Oh, yes. The Pocket Sketchers box.
oh yeah, and I also made this.
Aha, a little guide to the paints within.
Yes.
It's
This
not
is
wanting to open there.
even harder to open. But
Yeah. So folks, notice the reorganization of this palette. So this is in a different pattern than, and also notice that Ray Bonto has some paints squirted into the place that is where the little brush holder goes, so you can get more paints into it. The warm colors on the left, then you've got your greens mixing area, and then you've got a blues or neutrals mixing area on the far side. So getting your paints reorganized so that the color that you are going to be dipping in has its own mixing area up there. Also, I want everybody to notice how bright yellow Ray Bonto's yellow paint is there. In order to get that, you need to be really deliberate about keeping your yellow clean and not mixing into that with a dirty brush. So to help with that, you'll see that there are some globs of yellow paint that are squirted into some other areas of the palette.
yeah. This also came in a rainbow format. But yeah, here's some Hansa yellow light. I mixed up some orange for myself.
Oh, you made that by mixing colors.
Yes, this and spiral red.
Nice.
That is magenta and sap green, viridian. This isn't very useful. I think I shall, when it runs out, I'll refill it with hookers.
Yeah.
But see, here's some. Luckily, it came with sailor blue.
Such a good color.
Yes, wasn't exactly the right type. You use green shade. This was red shade, but it worked. This is ultramarine. That's black neutral tint, and some burnt sienna. I don't know if I'm confusing. Let's see. No, this is sienna, and this is burnt umber, some ochre, and here's some shadow violet, some buff titanium, and some.
Oh, I love that buff titanium.
Oh yeah, I got the name for this blue. Probably some. No, I don't know exactly. I'll have to find out. But I'd rather use indasthrone. And here's just some gouache.
That's a great little system. You got your and don't just assume that the colors that come with your palette. So notice how Ray Bonto said that, like, I'm not really into this viridian color green. As you replacing paints in your palette, you can put in colors that you like better and better, and you eventually get this palette that is yours, is something that you particularly like to hold and use.
Yeah. Just before your palette came, I made this one. But I used very cheap paints, so I ended up not using it a lot. But
gave it to me.
Yes.
But the same system, you've deliberately put you're putting colors adjacent to mixing areas so that you can, your palette doesn't all turn muddy.
Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, binoculars. I use yours, and my Celestron 52228 spotting scope, and I use your Amazon tripod.
Yeah, that little thing is, it's very lightweight. Can't support a big scope, it get too wobbly, but it does the job, doesn't it?
Yeah, really good. And finally, I don't take all these materials. I just take my sketchbook and sometimes a gel pen and my mechanical pencil and brush and some paint. I have some polychromos and Prismacolor pencils at home. So
Nice.
yeah, that's my kit.
That's a great kit. And you know, take a look at your kit. Is there anything you want to add to it? Is there anything you want to take away from it? We're constantly modifying these things. That's great. Ray Bonto, thank you so much. It's really good to see you again. In case I'm not able to get on while I'm in Kenya, I'm going to miss hanging out with you, and I look forward to seeing you again when I return.
Yeah.
Look forward to your sketchbook.
Yeah, we're gonna miss you too.
I'll try to share some sketches on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll be live. I don't know yet, but I'm not counting on it. I'm thinking iffy internet. It's great to see you. Be well. More pencil miles, more pigeons.
Of course.
Excellent. Let's join the mad botanist and see what's happening in her notebook. Ivea, good to see you. I'm going to add you into the spotlight here. Hello.
Hello there. How are you?
Doing very well.
Good. So I'm not sure if you'd showed this with your kit, but here's another supply that sometimes people might like. Marley's the one who introduced these to me. So when you are in a really, really windy environment and you're trying to write, you can just.
Oh, that's a very good idea.
So that's one more. And then another one, and this one's one of my personal favorites. I know that for most of us, we haven't thought of these since the 90s, but these really help. I use it when I'm doing my field work, just a fanny pack. So that way I usually wind up with one mechanical pencil and one blue writing pen stuck in here, along with my tools, which include these and of course this and anything that is medicine. So yeah, just a recommendation for people. And yeah, that's all I'm going to go into with my kit, because my kit is it looks a lot like Jack's, except messier, a lot messier. So
well, mine was messy and all over the place. That's why I needed to, and it's lucky you brought that out, because I realized that when we did the quantification talk, I'd taken this out of my nature journaling kit. I had taken my measuring tape out and I hadn't put it back in, and I would have gone to Kenya without centimeters.
oh no.
Oh, that would be just wrong. I mean, can you imagine finding the termite mound and trying to measure it in cubits?
Did you just say Kenya? Imagine.
What? Oh, I'll pretend that was intentional. I wish I could take full credit for that.
Well, you have another one now in your quiver, so that's a good thing.
But now I'm putting that back in. Is there anything else that came out that needs to go in there over there? So,
I think. Oh, sorry.
so what's happening on the pages of the notebook of Ivea? Let's remove this spotlight. Let's see.
So I think I might have shown you, but I don't think I got to show the group. I had to miss last Friday, but the Friday before I'd gone out with Quinn, my new weed wrench. I didn't get a chance to ask everybody what they would name my weed wrench, but I decided to name them quinacridone, so Quin for short, as a thank you. So I used it on the mustard hill that I've been going after for quite a while, and it worked. The success rates for pulling out the taproots were something between 50 to 75%. I made myself, speaking of numbers, a taproot length stem and leaf plot, so that way I could mark down the approximate length of the taproots. Because one of the things that our work is that we might get excited about getting these 6 truckloads of weeds, but the majority of those are ones that my coworkers just simply cut at the roots, which to me, that's gardening. I mean, that just means they're going to come back even more. And so they have this hope that eventually they'll be able to just outlast the others, outlast the plants that we're growing, or rather that we're not growing. But the problem is that if you've got a taproot that is this deep, on a lot of them, that's an average of 20 plus centimeters, or, you know, somewhat of these, but you notice how many stars there are on my data. That's when the taproots broke off. So I was still managed to get like, you know, 14, 18 centimeters worth of taproot out, but it wasn't the entire thing. And I didn't have time to do a similar study on circumferences. I only did one, and one of them had a circumference of about 9 centimeters. So you kind of imagine the dimensions of that, and that's a lot of fuel stored underground that the plant's going to rely on to come back again and again and again. Yeah.
And I wonder how if you're on ones that have been snipped off year after year, it makes me wonder about what that looks like in you know, I can imagine just these giant roots getting down there.
Giant roots, and on top of that, it makes it harder to pull out, because then instead of having one solid, then it branches, and you try to pull it out, and they snap off while you're trying to get them, and then you've got one left, and you can't really get the taproot. So I was doing diagrams to show how you want to try to get as low as possible and get as close to the main stem as possible. Or else try to get all 4 of these in the grasp of your tool, which isn't always easy. And also sometimes you can't just straight up yank the plant out. Sometimes you have to pull and then give it a little rest and then pull a little bit more. You have to coax the plant out of the ground. So I'm trying to make notes about how I did this so that I can be effective when I go back out there and continue with Mustard Hill soon, probably tomorrow. I'm also really excited because I'm almost finished with Monoceros. I think maybe 2 more.
With that 40 centimeter one, what do you think was going on with that?
I remember that one was longer and skinnier than the rest. So I'm wondering, I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if maybe that plant, I'm thinking one of 2 things. Either that plant might have gone for taproot length rather than taproot width like the others, or alternatively, I was for some reason able to pull that one out because it was skinnier. So I was able to pull out more of it. And they all might be like that. I'm not really sure. Do you have any thoughts?
I was just wondering if on the above ground portion, there's any clue that there is something special happening under there.
Nothing special about that particular plant, but it was noticeably skinnier than the others. The others were huge taproots. So I do remember that much. And I've noticed that the ones that only have the one stem or that are younger or skinnier are a lot easier to pull out, even without my weed wrench, than the thick ones.
You're going to have so much fun in the next time the rains come.
I'm excited about the rains. I've got a rainy day task list. So in the meantime,
of course you do.
It's in here and I'm so excited about it. So I'm going to just wait, and then I'm not going to let them stop me. I'm also going to bring a hula hoe and take out as many of the seedlings as I possibly can, so that way I don't have to do work later on in the season. So it's going to be a party when it rains.
Yeah. Susan Beckert is giving you a shout out for your stem leaf plots here. I'm just going to bring her into the conversation briefly, and we'll give her the full spotlight a little bit later. But just thought that you might want to some comments about how you're sort of seeing visualization of math.
Well, I love this, you know, put your data in a picture, like immediately as you get it, Because if you were just writing down like we were saying the other day, if you just write down those numbers, you're not going to see what the pattern is, which means you wouldn't maybe, I mean, you might pull out that one written down, this is a bit long, but you might not realize how much it's different than the rest of your data. But doing that right then and there gives you the chance to say, oh, I should look at this and I should like try and figure out what's different about this one. You know, so because you were right there in the moment doing that, you realize you have an outlier, and then you can ask all kinds of questions, and you may still not get the answer. You don't actually know what was going on with that one, but you have more questions you can ask, and you have more things to think about. That's just so exciting. I love outliers.
That's cool.
Outliers are so great.
I agree. What I'll probably do is that when I go out tomorrow, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get some that are not quite so broken off as the ones here. And then I'll be curious to see if they're around the similar length that I already have, or if they trend more towards the longer side. I mean, I'm sure that they will trend, but I'm wondering how much they're going to trend towards the longer side, and if they're going to go this far, or if this will remain an outlier, even if I can start being more complete.
Interesting what you said about that one root being a lot longer. This is, oh wait, I'm sorry, this is length, not circumference.
Length, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But you could also compare length and diameter or circumference or whatever is easiest to measure, and that would give you a way to estimate the volume of those. And then you could find out, for instance, maybe like you were saying, maybe that one very long taproot might actually have a similar volume to the others because maybe it's narrower.
Exactly.
But it might be that it's narrower, but not narrow enough, and it still has a greater volume than everything else. I don't know.
I think it's also interesting to notice how many of these are, so folks at home just sort of notice that what we're geeking out on here is the patterns that are made by numbers. And I'm noticing that lots of the short ones are broken ones.
Yep.
And it just makes me think about, I wonder if there is some intentional mechanism of having almost an abscission layer close to the surface, that if you are going to, if something is biting you and pulling you and you don't want your entire thing to be uprooted, I can imagine that ancestors who had a abscission layer that they could then regenerate from would be better at passing their little seeds into the next generation.
Abscission layer meaning a layer that
sort of a weaker spot.
Cuts itself, essentially.
Yeah.
When
a leaf falls off a tree, it develops first this abscission layer, and then it can break without damaging it. So in lizards, they will have this abscission zone in their tail. Not actually, interestingly enough, it is not it's not between vertebrae in the tail. It's actually each vertebrae in the tail has a weak layer in it, and then there are blood vessel constrictors around the outside edge there, so the tail can be pulled off, and then the lizard doesn't die. The tail then immediately goes into little thrashing wiggly fits, and the predator is attracted to that, while the rest of the lizard runs forward and freezes.
I've seen one of those tails once. Didn't see the lizard in question, but I saw the tail. It was very alarming and interesting. But it's like seeds and fruits and things have that too. A lot of times, it's why you get a nice little seed pod that then sort of splits open at certain times.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, like, is this a kind of an intentional strategy where you have a weaker zone in the root, so if something is pulling you, you'll go snap?
Wouldn't surprise me. And I've tried noticing if it changes based off of the substrate. If we have soil that is less impacted as Mustard Hill, because that's the most impacted in all of Battery East that I've worked in, and nope, even in the ones where the soil is not nearly so like that, they still like breaking off. Both the mustards and also the poison hemlock, which is super duper annoying. So yeah,
I wonder how much they have to have underground in order to come back from that.
Isn't it freaky how for plants, it's just sort of normal to just clone themselves. Like if my finger fell off, that's not going to grow another me.
Yeah.
You know, but for plant, it's just, you know, you can. And so, but just as an example of this, this is my sadly neglected coleria. It really looks very sad, but it creates an advantage because it has started forming some of its rhizomes above ground when normally they'd be underground. And you can, well, normally if it were healthy, these would be much bigger and sort of pinkish, but I don't know. Well, okay, you probably can't get the.
That's why when
Let's see. I don't know if it'll go through, but you can see this sort of texture here, and each of
little bumps.
these little bumps theoretically, they just sort of pop off, and each of these theoretically could grow a whole. I can break another bit off. It could grow a whole new plant of it, and that's how it spreads rhizomatically. Although it's not supposed to produce these above the soil, and desperately needs to get repotted, but you know, so I don't know if it's going to produce new plants from that, but I think if it does, they aren't going to be particularly healthy, so I probably ought to repot and get those below the soil anyway, but but at least it serves as an example.
That's cool.
Yes, that's, you know, that normally does that. Those just break, and then each place where it breaks, you got a brand new, you know, proto root system that could grow a new plant. So
I'm told that if you pull up the bulb of, say, a brodia, there's a large, maybe about the size of my thumb, there's a large underground bulb, fleshy, edible, kind of nut-like tasting, and
will it grow a new plant in your stomach if you eat it?
That's right. But you'll see these little kind of bulblets around the outside edges of them. And I have been told by ethnobotanists that native people, when they'd be collecting these bulbs, they would knock off the little bulblets back into the hole and rebury those as you're collecting them. So that as you are getting more of these bulbs out, you're leaving more of the clones down there in the substrate. And that meant that by tending the bulblets in that way, you ended up with the fields of flowers were even thicker than we now see today, when people are no longer removing those and knocking off little bulblets.
Is that because the bulblets individually would sort of all sprout if they weren't attached to something, but if they're attached to a larger bulb, then they make, you know, few or none of them sprout?
I think that's right. That you'd have that you then probably have your center one kind of resprouting.
Mm-hmm.
But when you knock off the little bulblets, then they're like, we're on our own now. It's up to us, team. Go, 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 go.
That's very cool.
you do.
And I wonder if when those sprout, if they would send up cotyledons or a true leaf. I don't know. Anyway, that's
okay,
it.
I need to get my hands on some tulip bulbs. I got some garlic. We tried with garlic. I mean, obviously, we don't know if, you know, we're the same with different kinds of plants, but I've got some garlic.
That'd be fun to
Plus,
find out.
I get more garlic. So
You just nerd sniped me again, didn't you? Now I'm gonna have to.
What we have to do is just kind of get ourselves together and kind of like, I wonder if.
Wait. Go to the again. Hold on.
So what else is going on in that really cool book of yours?
Okay, so I decided to get a new book. I've decided, from what I can tell of this book, it's not quite playing well with me, or maybe I'm not playing well with it, but that's okay because I can rejoice. That means that this is going to be practice paper and lots of
great.
it. Very excited. So I was looking back at the Merlin recordings that I got at my site so that I could see all of the birds because I really want to learn them. And then I noticed one was a complete outlier. So I think that I also noticed when I was using the Merlin ID that they were trying to identify the sounds of a squeaking truck. So I think that they might have some issues with their app, but it's still interesting to notice it. So I'm continuing on my goal of slowly trying to identify them. So there's a couple of birds that are way too much alike, and they were really challenging. So I was trying to look at them. And the thing that's missing from here is my attempts at practicing field sketches, because this is more of like, did this one at home, but I need to create a translation so that I can do a field sketch of this, because this is not for me practical in the field. I'm also trying to learn the songs. So
That's cool.
So it goes up like, it's hard for me to imitate the noise, but I realized that it reminds me of a dry erase marker squeaking on a whiteboard. So now I have something to remember. And then I'm trying to tell the difference between the Pacific Slip Flycatcher and Hutton's Vireo over here. I did not finish this one, but yeah, challenging. And the paper tried to get the kind of chewed up look. So that's why I was thinking that maybe this paper doesn't like me very much. That's okay. I'm going to do a different one.
This is neat. This is really fun. I love the, just the subtle suggestions of the that ring around the eye here on the Huttons, and that lores area, or maybe that's its supraloral that is white there, gives them this kind of I've got eyeglasses look. Another thing that I'm really liking about this is just bring the page down a little bit further. This little note there, I ruined it. That's okay. I can try again, right? That being intentional about that and saying that to yourself, so insanely powerful. I also love that the bird is blocked by leaves, because that's how we see these things. Great angles that you're trying on these, and you're really kind of getting the difference in structure. Look at how that flycatcher has a longer flat beak for catching insects out of the air, while that little Hutton's Vireo has a shorter one for kind of bouncing around on leaves and narfing what it can find as it's gleaning. Really, really cool. So you're going for challenging birds that look similar, and figuring out how do you tell the difference between those. That's really cool. Also, the behaviors of these are fun to look at. The way that the Huttons is kind of bouncing around from branch to branch looking for bugs, while the Pacific Slope Flycatcher is sitting on a branch, then sallying out, catching somebody out of the air, coming back to another exposed perch.
Okay, that's something I'm going to have to record about this, are those behaviors that you just described. That's really helpful for me.
But also, can I just I mentioned that you have this page also shows a breakthrough point in your bird sketches. Where I'm really seeing you operating at a totally different level here. The way that you are seeing birds, the proportions on these are really well studied. What you're showing and what you're not showing in the wings shows an understanding of that structure as well. Your pencil miles have paid off fantastically.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And then I was going to try to draw another bird, but I was having some trouble. So I tried to draw a bunch of that other bird because I couldn't get the angle on the beak quite right. But it was fun.
So hard to do. That 3/4 view, especially on something like a hummingbird where you know it has a long bird bill, to get yourself to actually draw that bill as short. So challenging.
And I tried to note for myself where the angle was off. And I try to leave myself deliberate notes so that I can do that. But this was kind of freeing. It's been a while since I've just tried sketching the same thing over and over and over and over again on the same page. And I want to do that more because it's relaxing. And so then.
Ooh, oh, this gorget is gorgeous.
Thank you. For me, the highlight of this was that.
The highlight.
Was that Logan was looking at this, my son was looking, and he says, it reminds me of one of those pillows that you rub and then all of the sequins go the other way and then you rub it back.
Oh, yes.
And so then he says that he's calling it the pillow bird from now on.
The pillow bird.
I just thought that was really adorable.
Aw, that's cool.
Thank you. So I'm hoping I'll be able to learn more birds over the summertime and more bugs. And yeah, so thank you so much for all of your encouragement and all of your mentorship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, this has been what a wonderful few years we've had of kind of now doing these workshops together. I'm really so grateful to you for your help in doing this together. This has been so much fun.
It has been, and we're not done yet.
This is far from over.
I got your
That's
back.
right. So I also saw that our friend Jack had a few things to share. Jack, again, nice. We got the same barber. Oh, hold on. I need to make you able to unmute yourself.
There we go.
There we go. Great. Whoops. Sorry, my bad. Now you can
There we
unmute.
go. Hey,
There we go. We're good.
So I've done some journal pages. This one, from a distance, I was doing some poison ivy.
Very smart to do those from a safe distance. And look at it. The shape of the leaflets is so different than what we get with poison oak. Much more pointed.
Yeah, and I noticed on the mature leaves and the young too, how there's only these like big bumps on the one side.
Oh, is that the side that is pointing towards the central leaf? Or is this the central leaf? Leaflet?
I don't know actually. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Oh, there was a little tufted titmouse at the feeder right there.
Ooh,
and
I've got
have some right
tufted
there.
titmouse envy. Those are really cool birds.
Yeah, and when I was journaling this, I was just sitting quietly in our garden, and one flew up and was kind of hopping around right next to me. That was cool. And I also saw some bugs crawling on the poison ivy, so I'm wondering if they're immune to the poison.
What a good question. Also, the drips of poison off your title are fun.
And then I did a little.
Check this out. You've got the mature versus the young leaves here. Measurements using metric. We didn't get your ruler too close to them as you're doing your measurements there. That's really neat. Interesting that the young ones have more red on them.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that's because they have less or more poison oil on them.
Ooh. Is it
Or maybe
so?
just because they're
Or
young.
you say, is that due to poison oil, less or more, or something else? Just to kind of keep that, or something else in our differential diagnosis. And look at your hummingbird. Just like Avea was doing, head at a 3/4 view angle. Love the angle right around the eye there.
This was actually a photo from a book, and in this book, they had actually taken, unlike most books, a picture of a hummingbird with most of its gorget black.
Nice.
Which was interesting.
They weren't using a flash.
Yeah, and then little scrub jay.
Oh, I love these birds. I love scrub jays. I just finished doing an illustration for a birding festival. They wanted a logo for their t-shirt, and I made a scrub jay.
Oh, cool.
And I got to really kind of geek out on that scrub. Let's see that scrub jay again. Let's see that scrub jay again. Oh, yeah. You know, if you get down to Florida, in Florida, they have scrub jays that have more white on their face, but their scrub jays down there raise their nestlings in teams. And so there'll be these big kind of extended groups, kind of helpers at nests that are all raising this little kind of colonially nesting scrub jays. This is cool. This really has, I love that angle. Nice. The little frame in the background too.
And then I wanted to share this little tool. I think I've shared this before. I make little embossing tools.
Yeah.
From just little sticks I find in the yard that and then I have two different sizes of, and those are really useful. Just wanted to share those.
And did you whittle those yourself?
Yes, I did, with a little whittling knife. I'm trying to get into whittling. I got a book.
Could I make a special request of you?
Mhm.
Would you be willing to whittle an embossing tool for me?
Sure, yeah.
A double-sided one with one width on one side and the other on the other side?
That'd actually be a good idea. Yeah, I should do that. Yeah, so double-sided. Yes, I will do that.
I would love to have one of your homemade embossing tools.
Yeah, I will do that. And my mom wanted me to tell you, yeah, I've got the change of scenery here because a couple days ago I had surgery for my knee. You can see I've got this big, hold on, let me change my camera. If I can do that, yeah. Big bulky brace.
My gosh, Jack. You're in a hospital room right now. No, you're on the couch.
No, yeah. I'm at my house. That was Monday.
Whoa. What happened there?
I've got this. I've been dealing with it for a while. I forget what it's called, but they don't really know what causes it. But it's like in the bone. There's like the bone's kind of like soft almost, and the cartilage is like starting to have tiny cracks. So they went in there and it's orthoscopic surgery. So they went in there with a 3 millimeter little cut, and they did 50 little tiny drills into the bone, and that will stimulate growth, and then it'll the brain will signal, and that will make it heal itself, so that it'll heal itself. And I have it on both knees, so once I'm done with this knee, I'll do it on the other. But I've got my little lounge chair so I can journal outside. So yeah.
That's cool. Well, I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Sorry to hear about that. I had to have my shoulder repaired with another one of those little cuts, and they got in there and they removed all sorts of things that were messed up in my funky shoulder. I hope that you have a really successful recovery from that process. How long are you going to be in that large cast before you can get up and climb another tree?
I'll have the cast and crutches for 6 weeks. I'm on day 3. It was Monday. 6 weeks, and then I'll do a little walking without the crutches and then the brace, and then I'll lose the brace and just careful walking for 3 months, I think, and then we'll do the other knee, and then the whole thing over again. And then by January, February 2023, I'll be running again.
But that's cool. All right, so January, February of next year, the whole process will be over.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm really glad they're on this, and we're wishing you a great recovery there, my friend.
Thank you.
And in let's see, you have in 3 days, an interesting thing's going to be happening, right?
Oh, wait.
I wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you. Wait, it is 3 days. Yeah, I thought it was 4. Wow, it is coming up.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask everybody, hold on a second, in just a moment, hoping there are no Zoom bombers. I think probably at this point, any Zoom bomber who's on this call, who's stuck around this time, we're actually going to give you your chance, because I'm going to go into the kind of group controls here, and I am going to allow, hold on a second. I'm going to allow everybody, everybody can now unmute themselves. And now anytime a large crowd sings happy birthday on Zoom, it never works because everybody's feed is coming through at a different time. But I just want you to know the following just din of incomprehensible noise. That's us celebrating you. We're going to send you a happy birthday. So everybody, in the best we can in a Zoom format, Everybody go over to your gallery view so we can see each other and unmute yourselves. Everybody got to unmute yourselves, because we're going to sing happy birthday to Jack. There we go. A couple more. You too. That's right. I'm talking. Oh, there we go. Oh, yep. Those ones too. Let's unmute those. Unmute those. There you go. And 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jack. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
Thank you. Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Absolutely. Well, we hope that on your birthday you have a really, really great sketching adventure. That's really fun. Let's see, hold on a second. I'm going to bounce back to this view. There we go. Is there anything else going on in that journal of yours?
No, that's it.
All right. So here's my greatest hope for your birthday is that you're going to go out and on it, you're going to find a mystery. You're going to find some really cool rabbit hole to go down. And so I'm wishing you a really good happy birthday mystery. And when I get back from Kenya, I can't wait to see what that was. Between now and then, you sketch up a storm, go make discoveries, get curious, and maybe you'll find something even more amazing than a hammerhead worm. Who knows what is waiting for us out there? My friend,
Have a fun trip too.
I will. I'm going to take care of this family out there, and we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun. I mean, I understand there's going to be a rhinoceros. I know, right? A rhinoceros? Are you kidding me? I mean,
That's awesome.
Isn't that going to be cool? That's going to be crazy. I'm gonna be losing my mind. In Tanzania, I saw a rhinoceros, but it was like way over there, like way over there. Telescope with a little dot. Yeah, that's a rhinoceros. We're gonna see. Okay. So I'm wishing you happy birthday. And then I am handing the keys to this kingdom over to Avea. I'm going to have to bounce because Amelia is about to get the rest of her vaccinations. So we're going to get all protected from the different diseases we can get across seas, and also avoid the common ones here like tetanus. So we're going to go get a few needle sticks, and my dear friends, wait, hold on, it looks like Ray Bonto's got something that I'm going to bring Ray Bonto in right here. Ray Bonto, hey, you are live with Jack and Jack.
Okay. Quick pun. I won't let you go without one.
Quick pun, bring it.
Why was 6 scared of 7?
Oh, because 7, 8, 9.
Correct.
That's a good one.
And by the way, I just found a way what to do if someone doesn't laugh at your fruit jokes.
If they don't laugh at your
fruit jokes, you let the man go.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We're going to need that. So I definitely need you when Ivea is teaching about fruit types to be showing up and bringing the puns. So that's I'm going to actually challenge this whole group when we are out there with in the upcoming meetings. Let's bring the puns. Bring the puns. Life is better.
Yeah.
Right? Avea, I am about to bounce. I am now making you the host. Here are the keys.